Welcome to Still Serving, the VFW podcast, the official podcast of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And now, from the VFW Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., here's your host, Rob Couture.
And welcome to Still Serving. I'm your host, Rob Couture. Let's go on with roll call. Joining us here in the studio right now, Mike Figlioli, the Director of National Veteran Service. Hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I am marvelous.
All right. We're going to skip over chair number 3 and go straight over to our Executive Director, Ryan Gallucci. How's things going, Ryan? How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. We've got Smedley Butler by our side here.
That's good. Smedley Butler shot. Smedley Butler. Yes.
There's a reason. We saw him on the last episode of our podcast.
Yeah.
We brought him back.
Yeah.
Because there's some things we're going to talk about here today. But feeling good. We're heading into Thanksgiving next week, and the Army Navy uniforms are out. We got a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, we sure do have a lot to talk about. And joining us from Rhode Island, our co-host Brittany Dymond Murray. Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing, Rob?
Good. All right. So, Ryan, we're going to go back over to you because you have quite a list that we're going to talk about. If you wouldn't mind pulling that up, sir.
Oh, yes.
You do have that behind you.
I'm trying to figure out here in the news studio where we keep this. I think I've landed on a spot, but as I cross my face with our whiteboard.
Yes.
All right. So here we go. We got some special guests this week.
Yeah.
We're going to kick it over to our friends at Combat Tested Gaming, which is a VFW program for veterans to connect in online through gaming and through a variety of other ways that I hope we're going to talk about here in just a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to recap Veterans Day. Last week, Commander-in-Chief of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Carol Whitmore, joined us here in the nation's capital for a lot of events. We're going to talk through everything that we did in honor of Veterans Day. The government's reopened.
Wow. The government reopening is a big deal.
Good. Congratulations, everyone. We did it. We'll talk about what veterans need to know as a result of that.
I missed out on the over.
But great job, everybody. Good job. Okay. I have the number 16.2 up here.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh,
That
yes.
later. We'll let our National Service Director.
We'll go. Yeah, that's right.
It is not Tomb Trek. It's not the YOMP.
Yeah, that's right.
It has nothing to do with mileage. We'll talk about it later.
It's very important for veterans. And then that's going to lead into our Honor the Contract update. Those two, you'll see, they kind of go together. Everything that we've talked about, the reason the good general is here, but everything that we've talked about the last few weeks, the Washington Post, the hearings, the roundtables, the Economist, and, we're still going to talk about it.
Oh,
we're not letting it go.
We can't let it go.
Letting it go.
We're Italian.
No.
We're Italian. We know what nothing goes.
No. We've got a grudge now. We've got a grudge. All right. And then, last but not least, we'll have the good of the order. Now, at point of order, I do ask, because I might have two, but I would ask that for the good of the order, going into Thanksgiving week, we'll do what we did last year. Let's say what we're thankful for.
Oh,
but then anything else that we have for the good of the order too. Maybe.
Yes. Oh, that's great. And thanks for throwing that on us, boss. That's good.
Yeah, last minute, with the cameras rolling.
Flag on the play.
Frag, not flag.
Oh, frag.
Frag out. Yep.
Ryan's favorite expression, let me throw that grenade under the table right now.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll bludgeon it to death.
Yes. Brittany, so,
yes.
Hey, first of all, we're going to get into combat tested gaming in a little bit. We need to talk through some of the things that just happened. But hey, people see you online, this new technologies that we have, trying different things out. We used this before. Thank you for putting this all together. We'll get it right. We'll get it fixed. But much like the lighting in this room, which you've already, kind of counseled me on with the knife hand.
Hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of knife hands. Rob, we need to fix this lighting.
We need like a knife hand for Smedley.
Knife
sure
hand.
Use that once or
Why
twice.
is the general continually waving goodbye?
Yes. But anyway, hey, thanks for doing that. I just want to put you out there. You were sick last time we had a podcast. I'm glad that you're back and feeling much better. What's the Finn report, if you may?
Oh, man. Thankfully, he's not sick this week, but he was. And it was awful. And then I got it, and it was awful.
So you've learned at their little germ factories. Congratulations.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So happy to report everyone's healthy for now.
Okay. All right. So for now, everybody's healthy. This is good news. Let's just jump right in to Veterans Day. So Veterans Day just took place last week?
November 11th.
Yeah, thank you. November 11th is normally
when the day?
Normally, yeah, that's when it takes place.
They did a long time ago.
That's right. We talked about this.
So yeah, I just provided you cover there, and you
almost
carry on.
Almost called it a different holiday, but we were victorious and
Armistice
keeping
Day,
it. Yeah,
Remembrance Day.
Yes. All these titles. But anyway, we had our...
Oh my God, it's cold here day.
Yeah, oh man, I tell you what, it was freezing over there in Arlington. Probably...
Just on Veterans Day itself, too.
Just Veterans Day itself. Should we go before then, Ryan? What would you prefer?
Yeah, let's recap everything. So a little bit of background. So Veterans Day, it's an important day for the VFW. I mean, we're celebrating, born out of the armistice of World War I. Thank you, General Smedley Butler. But
we're going to salute him every time.
Born out of the armistice. No, but it's a day that it's very close. It's very near and dear to the VFW. It's a time where our posts, districts, departments organize to really show pride in our country and show pride in our service. One challenge, though. Here in our nation's capital, traditionally we have the VFW Commander-in-Chief come in and attend the official events at Arlington and with the administration. But it's always left me wanting a little bit more. Like, what more can we do to really engage with the veteran community over Veterans Day? We used to set up on the National Mall where we couldn't distribute poppies, where we couldn't ask people to join the VFW.
Couldn't take donations.
And passersby would just be like, "Oh, here's a flag.
Here's your pencil."
Is there anything more we can do? Well, get out the banner. Mission accomplished. We got a lot done this year for Veterans Day, and I first want to thank our comrades from the VFW State of Virginia, the VFW State of Maryland, and then also new friends with the Allied Forces Foundation.
Yeah, that's right.
Old friends with USAA and the USO. I mean, there was, and the Women's Memorial. There was a ton.
Yeah,
it was so good. A ton. We where to begin, Rob? You want to begin with Friday?
Well,
we could on Friday.
Okay, so on Friday, what we did was we partnered up with the Allied Forces Foundation. Brittany and I had them on the podcast before talking about the upcoming YOMP. What actually happened, the Warrior YOMP 2025 that took place in Arlington. Actually, it started off in Alexandria, out there by the Mount Vernon Trail. And we kicked it off in the morning at about 8 o'clock. And there was a whole group of us, about 100 or so, maybe more, that with the supporting staff. And we set off on our march, which, if you remember from the previous podcast, we're in increments of 20, 30, and 50 miles, and 20 being the bronze, 30 being the silver, 50 being the gold. So the interesting thing is we had this expo at the Women's Memorial, great friends of the VFW, great partners with us. And, Phyllis Wilson, who's also a VFW Life member, spoke at our national convention a couple times. And so she was there, milling about. Actually, I don't think she was there. She came for the reception.
She wasn't there on Friday. She was there on
Friday.
Veterans Day.
But the team was there. Thank you. And
we went there several times.
There was an expo that we went there. And so
it was warm.
Our national commander, Carol Whitmore. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mission Barbecue. Yeah. We'll get to that. Carol Whitmore, she came down and she was part of this, walking around, meeting with people at their different tables. And then she said to Ryan and I want to do this. And Ryan and I went, okay, you mean the YOMP? Yes, I want to do the YOMP. And you guys should do it with us. To which Ryan said,
yes, ma'am. Yes, Comrade Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah.
Your order shall be obeyed.
Right. So
if so ordered by proper authority.
We were like, okay, we're doing this then. Well, our commander-in-chief was a great sport. She got out there in the morning. We took, there was no training for this, mind you.
Just went cold, huh?
It wasn't that bad.
No, I said you went cold. I didn't say it was cold.
Well, I tell you what, the muscles were cold.
Muscles were cold.
Sure. Yeah. And so we went and we got to about mile 7, which from the start point to Gravely Point, if you know Washington, D.C., which is the park just north of the Reagan Airport, DCA. And 7 miles, our national commander, Carol Whitmore, who had just turned 70, did 7 miles cold, which I'm like.
With 2 hip
replacements,
a knee replacement.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, with all those things, and she did that. So, we were like, okay. And then she was like, you guys should go on. And we were like, okay.
Yes, Comrade Commander.
Yeah. so we went on, and the first major stop that we went to was the Canadian Embassy, which actually was about 7 miles away, 7 or 8 miles away from the end point. But that was great. Meeting, we sat down.
Yeah, it was about 14 miles in.
Yeah, it was about 14 miles in or so. And
maple syrup.
They had maple syrup candies, which
they did,
which were delicious, and got us rested and got our energy back, and we took off and we went all the way through, which actually brought us through Rock Creek Park, which is phenomenal. By that time, I think by the time I got to the the Canadian Embassy, both of my pinky toes were already blistered over hot spots. And, word to the wise, everyone, do not wear brand new shoes when you go on a 20-mile walk or hike or run.
Well, they weren't new when you got done.
They definitely weren't new. But they were a pair of hokas. How do you pronounce that?
Don't ask me.
Anyway, they're a pair that I had bought for running and they just turned out for this foot march. Anyway, so it was pretty much flat through the whole way. And then we get through Rock Creek Park, lots of rocks.
And a creek.
And
figure.
They put a park around it.
That's right. And so then we did a little bit of uphill climbing, made our way to the Danish embassy, which at first we were like, this has got to be it. And then we're like, oh no, this is not the British embassy.
You have another mile to go.
We have another mile to go. So we end up making our way to the British embassy, which was the bronze. And by that time, we were like, that's good. I think we've walked enough for the day, Yeah, and we got some Mission Barbecue that was there and some Cheesecake Factory, which I can report that I brought the cheesecake home to my wife. I had a little bit of it. It was a massive slice. So, but it was quite an event, and thanks to Brad Hazel, our director of operations, who's out there supporting both myself and Ryan and the commander while we're out there, and it was a good time. And I encourage everybody that if you're in DC next year, I think right now the date is November 7th, and you want to participate, go to Allied Forces Foundation and online, and you can find out a little bit more.
So, kind of buried the lead there. We did about a little bit more than 20 miles, close-ish to 21. I think it was like 20.6 or something like that. But a little bit of what was so powerful about this was bringing together that global community of veterans. There were teams from Ukraine, where service members who were in the middle of fighting a war, some who have lost limbs defending their homeland, came over for R&R to do this. Then there were teams from Germany, the United Kingdom, Denmark. Canada said they're going to field a team next year. But what was really interesting about this is we came in sponsoring the water, right? Brad Hazel was driving around to all the different points, dropping off bottles of water. National Veteran Service supported the expo, the registration expo. Chris Masinkowitz, Jeff Wisniewski were out there with their teams, giving out information to the participants about the VFW. And that's when our Commander-in-Chief confronted us on...
For the record, I was not there at C2.
Our duty requirements. But it was awesome. Look, I think we're definitely looking to support it next year. And that's what, for anyone listening, well, let's do this, right?
Yeah.
Last year, Stu and the Allied Forces Foundation, they kind of did a test run. This was the first year of officially hosting it, and still, like, it seems not a lot of people know about it. I think it's our duty to let people know about it.
Yeah.
The really cool thing is that international engagement, but then also the time you get to spend on the trail. Rob, I really appreciated, we were marching together from like 8 a.m. till 4-ish.
Yeah, about 4-ish, almost 5. Yeah.
Like an entire work day of just like, talking about the world and everything.
What it means to be a veteran. And how it, you talked about your father, who was he was a I'm sorry, was he a VFW member?
He was an American Legion.
He was a Legion member, right. But just how the different generations of veterans dealt with coming home or camaraderie and all these different things. And it was really great to be able to do that. And, every post out there, they have their, I wouldn't say pet project is the wrong word to say, but like they have their local nonprofits or events that they do, 5Ks, marathons, marches, community cleanups, all these different things that they participate in. It was great as a VFW Washington office to have something that was ours.
That could be ours.
That could be ours. We're not necessarily a post here, but we have enough VFW members on staff in Washington, D.C., or close enough anyway, that we could have a post if we wanted to. But the point is just all of us be able to get together and do something like that, which was really great. And
well, I think that's a good segue to talking about some of the other engagements that we then had throughout the weekend, because, VFW Department of Virginia, they sent their state commander and their leadership team came out to the Veterans Day National ceremony, joined us to spend some time with the Commander-in-Chief. And then the VFW state of Maryland, in many ways, they rolled out the red carpet. Carol was able to visit with 2 posts. First, post 2632 down in Pax River, near Pax River Naval Air Station, which we also took some time to go visit the Atlantic Test Range and the Osprey simulator and get kind of a lay of the land of what goes on down at Pax River. But then later that day up to post 3285, which is in Frederick, Maryland, and it is the first new construction VFW post in, according to our Quartermaster General, about 30 years. So, and she got to go up there and join them to cut the cake in honor of the Marine Corps birthday. A lot of really quality time spent with our comrades around the state of Maryland and from Virginia.
It was such a great balance, I think, of the weekend. Look, we bring our national commander out here. Normally, it's just for the Arlington Cemetery, National Cemetery, National Veterans Day ceremony, and normally that's it. There's the breakfast that goes on in the morning. But, Carol came out and just was a great sport, participating in every single thing we had going on over the weekend. And not only was it representing the VFW on the national stage, so to speak, and engaging with partners of the VFW, but also going right down to the post over there in California. I didn't even know there was California, Maryland, right outside of
Mexico, New York. So what the hell?
That's right. I live in Pasadena, Maryland. So
that's true.
That's
its own country,
right?
But not only that. In addition to those responsibilities, we also were present at the Vietnam Wall, as we have been for a number of years.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that up.
Chris and Jeff and Greg were there to put the wreath at the wall, as we've done as long as I've been in town. And then Jeff Wisniewski went over to the Korean War Veterans Memorial and repeated the same thing and represented the VFW at their ceremony on Veterans Day.
It's so great, and I'm glad the two of you brought that up. It's not without the support of our staff. I know us directors, we get out, we do what we do, but these folks that work at the NCRBO, right, at the National Capital Benefits Regional Office, the folks that work that are
we had 2 new hires out learning about what we do.
That's right, 2 new hires that came out and just participating. So great. And by the way, Jeff is a auxiliary member.
Jeff
right?
Is.
And so he did that, represent the VFW as an auxiliary member, which is fantastic. Proud to wear his cap when he goes and does those sort of things. And then the Atlantic Test Range, put together by our own Craig from the legislative team, also a VFW auxiliary member, proud to be a part of what she does and her her service as a Marine and her family's legacy of service. I'm just floored at how this whole weekend went.
Well, last but not least, then was our partners at USAA hosting the Commander-in-Chief for Washington Commanders Salute to Service game, where the president was in attendance as well. And then before the game, thanks to our new friends that we met at the YOMP Expo from the Washington Commanders, we were able to stop by and visit the new CEO of USO, Mike Linnington, our old friend from Wounded Warrior Project.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where he went to, right?
PMO days and the like. But spend some quality time at the USO. What do they call it at the Commander Stadium? The USO.
It's like a lounge space. I wouldn't call it a tent.
No, it's it looks like a KBR tent. Yeah, the USO maybe lounge. Yeah,
okay.
But the USO. It's the only one that in the National Football League.
Wow.
At the Washington Commander Stadium, and they let veterans come in. Before the game, enjoyed it. There's a lot of Mission Barbecue. Mission Barbecue is there as well. They're everywhere.
Yes.
I just saw them 3 times over the weekend.
I know. I'm going to be honest. I don't mind Mission Barbecue. I know.
Oh, come on. They've supported our NVS training in the past, too.
Well, look, I love their support and I love their food. But after having it like 3 times over the weekend, I am kind of barbecued out. Pulled pork is good. I do not need any more. I mean, I can go for some burn ends if we go back to the headquarters, and we haven't had that for a while. But yeah, I heard some grumblings of stomachs. It might have been somebody's stomach.
It could have been.
Was it your? It was your stomach.
But if you recall, I did make a joke about them being at the YOMP, and it sounds like they were. So they came through for us.
They absolutely were, Brittany. And I tell you what, now that can bring you back on. It was great to see all these partners. It was great to. It was such a good weekend. Veterans Day, like we said, was freezing cold. Was the first time. Now, get this. It was the first time that I had seen, and maybe you might know different, Ryan. Actually, Mike, because you've been going to these things frequently. Both of you have. But you laid a wreath with our Commander-in-Chief and the auxiliary president. Is that a first?
I don't know. I just know. I mean, first of all, to our Commander-in-Chief, thank you for inviting me to do that, because it's one of those. We're always there, right? And we're always helping to facilitate the Commander-in-Chief's experience and the auxiliary president's experience, and it was really just an honor for Carol to ask, because it's it's something that we see routinely, but we don't get to do it that often.
Yeah,
and it was a huge honor. I mean, I remember going to Arlington Cemetery when I was a kid with my dad to see the changing of the guard, and just how powerful that moment was. And then
how fast it's over.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because you're trying to take it all in and be respectful and say, I get this chance. And then before you know it, it's over.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
But, got the pictures.
You sure did.
That'll live forever.
Yeah. And I will tell you that you marched smartly, and the same with your salutes. Crisp salute. There wasn't even a boing or anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. But it was great.
Lieutenants.
That would have been the Allied Forces Foundation. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. I mean, so where are we going with this now?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. And so then we had the game and just a lot of things going on. And I think we wrapped it up with the commander visiting with the Sec VA, which you accompanied her on that. How did that go? How was that engagement?
Look, it was a great meeting, and look, the secretary had hosted the breakfast the day before for the veterans organizations at Fort Myer prior to the National Veterans Day ceremony. But it was a really good opportunity for Carol to get in one-on-one to meet with Secretary Collins and really share her priorities and her vision. Is a really good discussion. And I'll tell you, it's been great to see the secretary's support on things like, which we're going to talk about later, these grumblings about cutting benefits or waste in benefits. He said it in his remarks at the breakfast. He then said it publicly during the National Veterans Day ceremony. And the one that really sticks with me is when on Fox Business, Secretary Collins basically quoted Carol's response to the first story, and that this is not charity. These benefits are not charity. They are owed to our veterans. And so there was a lot of discussion on that front. And then also the Secretary's vision for VA, which I think, it sounds like they have some things on the horizon and that are going to be beneficial to veterans, and some things that we've been asking for a while. So excited to see when those come, Secretary Collins. Excited for what that news might be.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We will talk about it on this podcast.
We will definitely talk about it on this podcast. I want to remind folks out there that may be listening, you've seen a lot about the Washington Post articles and our rebuttal. I mean, one of them was, the latest that came out was our national commander statement, just really laying into it and understanding. And this gets back to, I'm going to go over to camera 3 here, and Smedley Butler, saluting Smedley Butler. There we go. What this man said, which was be able to argue intelligently, know what you're talking about, get all these people to join, and then go after the enemy with the way that it's provided in your Constitution. That is, go to the polls. Before you go to the polls, make every public office seeker state where he stands. Don't take any alibi. We're going to
read that every episode now? Is that?
I know. Well, I mean, the thing is,
welcome everybody. We're going to read Smedley Butler.
Well, at some point we'll stop talking about Washington Post too. So.
Yeah, I know we'll get there, but I want to just kind of remind you. Look, if you're a VFW member, read these statements that come out. Read these articles that come out, that come from our magazine, that come from Ryan's testimony, that comes from our Commander-in-Chief statement. And internalize them. You don't have to memorize them, but internalize them, because there's going to be people out there that are going to make those same kind of arguments. And we all need you. We all need you. I'm going to pull my, Montgomery flag there. We all need you.
All right, Uncle Sam.
To be able to join us in this advocacy effort, no matter where you are. Whether it's at your own State Department with its own media, or any newspaper that might be local, or even in arguments that have to be anywhere. You to have that voice. It's not just the people in Washington, D.C. that are the ones that are advocating. Every single VFW member can do this.
No, they have the obligation to do it.
Yeah.
It's an obligation.
Darn it. Yes.
I think people look at us like the national staff. We're the only people that can advocate. We're the smart people on occasion, that appear before Congress and are on TV or podcasts. If you are a member and you have a VFW card in your pocket, and what you just said, Rob, is true, you are obligated to spread that message.
Yes.
That is the reason you join the organization, and it starts at the lowest level.
Right.
VFW founder James Romanis said it. We have a problem.
Yes, that's right.
One of the foundational purposes. Look, for those following at home, we're a little bit out of order. I think we're going to go to honor the contract next. We'll
have to
move this around because it's kind of a natural segue.
Sure is.
And we're already talking about it.
Yeah.
So
it's always kind of loose, structurally anyway. It's like we need to go to the service officers report. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk to this honor the contract, all right?
All right. So the Washington Post wrapped up. So the last time we recorded a podcast, I think, was the last day that the Washington Post published one of their stories, and it was their hatchet job on sleep apnea. We didn't talk about that on the last episode of the podcast, but that same day they posted a podcast called The Post Reports. Go check it out. We're living rent-free in their heads. It's a picture of me testifying and knife handing Congress. But this podcast was really instructive to what their perspective is in their reporting. And really, the lead reporter on this kind of showed his hand. And I'd encourage people to listen to it, because there's a couple of fundamental misrepresentations of the facts. And it helped to instruct Commander-in-Chief Whitmore's latest response that came out just last week, where she said this was designed to drive a wedge between our veterans and the Americans that they've sworn to defend. On the podcast, the lead reporter says, first of all, that he was a national security reporter at the Pentagon, and he saw all these veterans who were on disability. Words are important, and they mean specific things.
Yep.
Service-connected disability is not like long-term disability from your employer. It's not like short-term disability from your employer. It's not like Social Security Disability Insurance or SSDI. It is service connection. It is payment for the average lost earnings capacity of a service-connected chronic health condition. It's not you're on disability, you're off disability, you're on disability, you're off disability. It's a fundamental misrepresentation. If he had reached out to any of the VSOs who have been doing this for longer than VA has, he might have learned that. He chose not to. And he chose to send other reporters out to do his dirty work.
Oh, yeah. Like a year ago.
Yeah, more than a year ago.
More than a year ago. And go ahead,
so
Brian.
I want to keep going with this because in addition to the on disability, he then said, he worked at the Pentagon he worked around the Pentagon and all these people who are on disability. And his words, go listen to it for yourself, post reports on Spotify, not visibly disabled.
Yeah. Not visibly disabled.
Maybe he needs to watch this and see the section about combat tested gaming and understand what the difference is, what that means. Not visibly disabled, because as we know,
he willingly just did not even engage in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that depending on your attire of the day, many disabilities aren't visible.
Right.
No.
I mean, even among every American.
Yeah.
I mean, it's become a fundamental change that I think veterans have driven. First of all, talking about disability in the workplace, about veterans and mental health, that most disabilities don't manifest themselves in a visible way, right? Mm-hmm. Even amputations. If somebody has lost a limb and they present in a business suit, you may not know it. You may not know it just from looking at it.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, are you kidding? Are we talking like this in 2025?
This entire series of reporting has just been so offensive and upsetting because they have zero perspective, and it's like there was no effort whatsoever to find that perspective.
I think that's
had they done that. Sorry.
No, I think that's what upsets me the most is on this podcast, he talks about, well, I worked at the Pentagon.
Great.
Good for you.
Yeah, okay. Congratulations. So countless other people also worked at the Pentagon. Do you want an award for that?
Hey, I've been around veterans, so, I didn't choose to speak with any of them, but, I was around them. So.
Yeah, I was adjacent.
Well, I would have joined, but
right?
Yeah.
Well, look, there was plenty of people,
almost veteran.
There was people that I knew that, because of their physical disabilities while in service, and they weren't able to be back out on the line. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so they end up getting jobs at the Pentagon, or they end up getting jobs in, doing policy and doctrine at Leavenworth or Fort Meade or down at Fort Lee or wherever, these other places.
Well, you can't see the breathing issues that they're having or the cancers that they're suffering from.
Oh, yeah. That was in the story, too. Like, the day before they were 100% fit for duty. How do you know
that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what was another gross omission from that whole narrative is that they didn't even bother to figure out why people wait until the very last minute to get their service-connected injuries and illnesses documented in their medical records.
Oh, don't worry.
Because there's a culture of minimization in the military. And you're not supposed to talk about the things that are wrong with you. And a lot of people won't because they're afraid to lose their security clearance.
Correct.
They're
or their flight status.
Or ostracized from their unit. They're afraid of their peers not feeling like they can rely on them anymore, whether it's they're struggling with mental health issues or they have a physical injury manifesting that could impact their functioning on the battlefield. There are so many reasons why people choose to not disclose when they're sick or injured in the military, and it's generally so that they can comfortably keep their job or feel like they are not going to be in jeopardy of losing flight status, for example, if they are part of an air crew. And they didn't even bother asking for any of that context. And then said, they're like, oh, well, all this, you're super healthy while you're fully fit for duty for all these years you're in service, whether it's 4 years or 20. And all of a sudden, at the end of your service, you have all of these things to document. Oh, that must be fraud.
It's also, Mike, you and I have sat knee to knee with veterans with their benefit claims, and frankly, you more often than I have, but it's also a very reductive way of looking at it, as if to imply that none of this was documented elsewhere in service. I mean, when you look at a medical record, a military medical record, it has a lot of, it many times will have markers and indications and treatments. So, having never asked that question, here's the point. Here's you missing it. I mean,
I'm sorry. Let me give you my entire medical record next time, so that exactly like Brittany said. What's wrong with me? It's just I don't know. I don't know the word. I think we've used so many of them, but to continue to have your service denigrated, to tell people that might need help, that might need the benefits in ways that he'll never understand and doesn't have any way of knowing, and now they're likely not to go seek those benefits, perhaps.
Right.
Oh yeah, that
is something that Carol wrote about.
Oh, that
is response
exactly, and that is such a huge deal. Like, okay, there's already a stigma. If you were an NCO and you put that stuff off, or you're an officer and you put that stuff off because you want to jeopardize your career, or you didn't want to be at risk of not leading troops anymore, and you put that stuff off, and now you're getting ready to get out, and you do all that sort of thing. Now, you mean that stigma might follow me when I get out of the military now? So you mean my fellow Americans will be looking at me?
So add that to the other injuries that might already suffer stigmatic issues, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good segue to something I did want to talk about, and it has to do with average lost earnings capacity, because there seems to be this ridiculous misconception from the lead reporter that, they can still get jobs. And we talked about this at a recent congressional roundtable that centered around this topic, and what average lost earnings capacity actually means. After the Senate hearing, first of all, very grateful for the outpouring of support, but a lot of veterans reached out to share some of their stories and shared what that means to them. One was talking about, first of all, insurance. When you have a number of chronic healthcare conditions that likely mean you are going to die younger, you are not really going to be as insurable as most Americans.
Yeah, Prudential's not going to be offering you a very low-cost premium plan because you're even more of a risk than you would have been in the first place.
No, and look, this one veteran who reached out to me basically said his spouse was able to secure a $500,000 life insurance policy. The most that he could secure was about $10,000. Because of the extent of his chronic healthcare conditions. That means that whatever happens to you later in life, your family is not going to be as secure. The other issue with average lost earnings capacity is a myopic view of how long a veteran may be in the workforce. You and I talked about this one. It actually happens with professional athletes all the time.
All the time.
You see a professional athlete get a big contract for millions of dollars. What's their earning capacity, though, over their lifetime? They may have a flash in the pan of, 3, 5, 8 years, if they're lucky, of earning a lot of money. What happens for the rest of their life?
Correct.
Suddenly, that $8 million doesn't seem like so much, whereas the same thing with a veteran. Your earning capacity, if you have to leave the workforce earlier because of your service-connected conditions, or take lower-paying jobs or more flexible jobs, or gig work because of the unpredictability of your schedule, your needs because of healthcare.
If you're not fully unemployable because of these issues,
your earning capacity is lower. And some of the longitudinal data on veterans in the workforce demonstrate that. Veterans do leave the workforce earlier than their non-veteran peers. And logically, when you look at the extent of service-connected conditions, that's likely one of the reasons why.
I would like to jump in here because, this is not research-based, but I would hesitate to think that I'm alone in this, is that and I don't hesitate to use myself as an example, but I mean, there have been opportunities that I've foregone that could have been better for my career, perhaps, that I have not taken because of my limitations. Like, I have to be very conscious all the time of the amount of, like, the workloads that I take on, the opportunities that I take on, because it happens so quickly, where if I don't sleep well, like for 2 nights in a row, my body like goes in a serious downward spiral. Severe headaches, body aches. Like it's like just living in, like, perpetually living in a box, you know, and I'm only in my 30s, but this started when I was in my early to mid 20s. That's when I was med boarded out of the Navy. So it's been over a decade. People don't realize that when you come out of the military, often it's not, you know, it's obviously not everyone, but I feel like I can safely say I'm in good company, where you come out with a bunch of limitations, you know, and yes, I can work. I'm clearly working right now as I speak with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm whole, that I have full operating capacity that other people my age generally do, which is really lame, because I feel mentally like I have a lot more to give than I feel like I physically am able to, because I just physically don't have the capacity anymore. You know, I am plagued by severe headaches that started in Afghanistan. And, you know, that was over a decade ago. And when I get one of those headaches, I'm down for days. I could be down for days. The only thing that'll make them go away is sleep. And so think about lost work capacity just from that condition alone. You can't see that condition. Nobody can see that condition, but it's my reality. My family knows about it. They see the suffering that happens, but nobody else does. That doesn't mean that I don't have a disability that's service connected, that started directly in service. You know,
and then good luck trying to find an employer that will accommodate that when you've had missed days.
Yeah.
When you're missing days off because you can't physically function.
I can't function.
Like the less than 1% of the country who served. Craig Whitlock, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
Right.
It's crazy too. I mean, Brittany, you bring up a lot of really good points that, you know, our friends over at PVA talk about as well, Paralyzed Veterans of America. They have advocated for decades about accessibility of workplaces for those with severe spinal cord injuries. And one of their frustrations that they shared with me was that this story sets all that back. It's like, look, we have made a lot of strides in accessibility in the workplace and accessibility to do work. I mean, right now with our Washington office being under renovation, us here at the temporary workspace and things like that, like, look, we're working largely from a remote work environment, but we have that capacity. And it also allows for us as a veterans service organization, a veterans serving organization, to offer what our employees might need and our peers might need as a result of their military service. You know, there are a lot of veterans who work here. I've shared it on this podcast before. I can tell Dan, my boss, about when I'm having trouble with a service-connected condition, when I need to go to VA, or when things just aren't going right. Yeah. Can't do that in every company.
Nope.
No.
You sure can. There are places where I wouldn't feel safe disclosing that.
Correct.
Work environments. And, you know, I mean, that kind of still speaks to, you know, stigma around, you know, we also as veterans tend to carry that with us from the military, you know, the minimization, the downplaying of the challenges is, well, part of it is not wanting to disclose that we have a weakness so that others will, you know, won't see us any differently. Well, that's the same thing also in the competitive workforce. You don't want to disclose those things because you don't want to be seen as less or different or, you know, or anything like that. But VFW is a unicorn in that way, in that we feel like we are able to talk about these things and we're not going to be penalized for it.
Yeah.
We can't say the same thing about other employers.
And hell, we're going to broadcast them to the world and let everyone else hear about them.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm proud of that. And Brittany, I really appreciate you sharing everything that you just shared, because it's that context that I think a lot of veterans have gravitated toward in response to this just irresponsible and just hatchet job reporting based on, decades old stereotypes that we have worked deliberately to dismantle.
And just taking snippets of things, right? So-and-so said this, and therefore, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
About Cindy and what she's now gone through because of this.
Yes.
And you mentioned a cut finger.
You're right. So on their podcast, again, go listen to it. I am not, post reports. They once again misrepresent what our representatives do on military installations. They talked about one of our representatives saying, well, we saw her, and it wasn't him. He didn't go down there. But we saw her briefing one of the classrooms and saying, I don't care if you cut your finger while you were making dinner. We're going to put that on the form and we're going to claim it. First of all, that's hyperbole, right? I mean,
it is.
That's a device to catch the attention of a crowd. Like, what did she say? That doesn't sound right. But Mike, you cut your finger cooking dinner 10 years ago. It heals. You have no problems with it. Is that claimable?
Nobody's going to claim that. That's like I said, pure hyperbole. Cindy, attention grabbing, and for those of you that know Cindy's delivery style, it gets the class attention. Look, they're in a class that's boring.
Yeah. It is.
I hate to say it. We find it exciting because it's our job, but it's boring to the average person. So when you get their attention, then you move on to something else about, okay, you were in the motor pool and you had your foot crushed. Okay, that's a little bit more substantial.
Yes.
But I got your attention with the knife cut of a finger 10 years. And it's not like he didn't know it or she didn't know it. Or they, let's just use the other pronoun, they. So
the reporter.
They didn't know it. And it's really a disservice because, again, somebody's going to read that and say, well, all right,
these veterans.
These veterans just milking the system.
Just milking.
Right.
Milking the system.
And what's sad about this, and this is just Mike Figlioli talking, as the program director and responsible for the National Veteran Service, marketing is part of what we need to do to get our services and the services we provide out there. And I thought for sure this was going to be a good way to talk about our BDD team and the service we provide to pre-separation. I don't think any one of us until later on realized it was going to become the hatchet job that it became.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're an open book. I mean, again, our program is regulated.
Yeah.
It's subject to stiff laws and regulations, penalties if we do those unethical things that they assume that we do based on no information or context whatsoever.
To quote what I put in your testimony, we invited VA to come in and audit our program.
I invited them.
Years ago before I became the director.
Who made the phone call to invite them to come audit our training.
And
they still haven't.
Well, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about the great work that our National Veteran Service.
We are so good at this.
Our National Veteran Service, every year they are recouping, millions of dollars. And that accumulates over time, right? So we have every year the VFW, and it's recouping millions of dollars on behalf of veterans, by the way, for free.
It's billions, Rob.
It's billions.
And that is true. And so
McDonald's, billions and billions served.
Billions and billions served for those that don't remember those signs. But
they still have them.
It says billions and billions served.
This is how we get nothing done.
Well, okay. All right.
Billion, yes.
Yeah, so, all right. Anyway.
I've seen those, yeah.
Let's back that up. So, billions of dollars recouped. What is our grand total now? Drum roll, please.
Billions to the VFW Telethon. Our VFW accredited representatives for last fiscal year recovered $16.2 billion on behalf of our veterans, family members, and survivors.
Wow. Big round of applause. That is really awesome. The amount of work that you all do and everything is to be commended.
Thank you. I sent a note out to the staff last week thanking them because, one, I had the benefit of coming from that world. I wasn't an accredited representative, so I understand what goes into it, right? Mm-hmm. I understand sitting down with a veteran and filing a claim and telling them the good news or telling them the bad news. And these people do it day in and day out. It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
They take the crap that they get from the Washington Post and other outlets and talk about that they're untrained or they're pay for play, all the things that we continue to have to dispel.
Yep.
And yet they come back for more and they achieve greater things year after year after year. And I couldn't be any more proud of them.
Brian, your thoughts?
I've watched this program continue to grow and grow and grow, and it's deliberately so because, again, there has been historically a stigma to claiming these benefits. Brittany, you talked about it very eloquently about why service members may not like to talk about these things. And frankly, no matter what the Washington Post says, no matter what the Economist says, we as the VFW wear this $16.2 billion as a badge of honor.
Damn right.
Because it means that we reached into a community that was unwilling to talk about this, and we said, hey, look, this is important for you, it's important for your family, it's important for your well-being moving forward. And we're linking veterans with life-changing benefits. Like, I'm a product of this. It's one of the reasons I got into this line of work. We've talked about it before. I didn't know what a claim was. I struggled coming back from Iraq in 2004. Technically, my diagnosis for PTSD is a field note, handwritten note that was written in Balad in 2004 before flying back to the United States. That handwritten note opened up a world of benefits and opportunities, and all that the VFW and our peer organizations are doing are extending that hand up to that next generation.
Right.
100%.
Right.
100%.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really great work.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you. You know, this is probably a great time to go ahead and get into our next segment where we talk about combat tested gaming, because one of the things with combat tested gaming is that we have actual service officers that get on with these veterans that are playing games, their online gaming, and be able to talk to them, sit with them, answer questions about their benefits. So we're going to get into that segment right now after this.
Here we go.
Combat Tested Gaming is the VFW's official gaming community, made exclusively for veterans and active duty service members. Connect with other veteran gamers, compete in leagues, and more. Learn more and get involved at vfw.org/gaming.
You know, this is one of the few times in which we're able to connect not only with our VFW headquarters, but also those in the hinterlands, so via, the internet. So I'm going to go toss it over to my co-host, Brittany. Brittany, why don't you tell us who we have online joining us today?
Certainly. So yeah, I'm super psyched today because like you mentioned, we haven't had many guests from our Kansas City office and or any of the many other programs that VFW has. So today we have 3 gentlemen with us who run an awesome newer program of VFW. It's called Combat Tested Gaming. So first and foremost, we have Lynn Rolfe, who's the director of VFW programs, and he works out of our Kansas City office and he does magic all the time. I don't know how he does it. And then with him, we have Tim Stalker and Rob Couture, and they host the VFW's Combat Tested Gaming podcast. So super thrilled to have you gentlemen with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So to start us off, Lynn, Combat Tested Gaming is a newer initiative of VFW's, and I was wondering if you could give our listeners a brief overview of what that is.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, Brittany, and our great DC team. So 2.5 years ago, our Commander-in-Chief Dwayne Sarmiento challenged myself to set up a gaming league because his son was over in Japan gaming with the Marine Corps, and it's kind of how he connected with friends and family. So I took the challenge on, and started diving into the gaming world, esports, everything that was associated with gaming, and my mind was blown away. There was a whole community out there of veterans that were gaming and connecting. So when I started the league, came across Discord and Twitch and said, we need to get into this space. So got approval from our national council to start the program and expand, not just having one tournament to connect vets, which we had done in the past. But since then, in 2.5 years, we've exploded to just about 3,000 vets that are on here consistently gaming and connecting, which is the most important piece with our combat tested gaming program, is the connections that have been built across the world. And you'll hear from, and I call them my two knotheads, and it's a serious term of endearment, because my gunner and my driver in Iraq, they were my knotheads, and these two have quickly slipped in because of their passion of what they're doing, not just in the gaming space, but to expand our network through the podcast that we just launched, and their personal stories of how they came to us, their struggles, and what this community has built. I want to give a shout out, though, to Mike Figlioli, because the first Christmas time, we launched in September, right there around the holidays. We always hear it, veterans struggle, a lot of pressures, either socioeconomic or just some things happen. And we had a young Navy veteran that was an MST coordinator, or MST survivor, and he was getting treated very badly at a VA regional facility. And I reached out to Mike, and Mike stepped in with his connections through NVS, and we were able to get this young Navy man the assistance that he needed, because he was right there. He was going to make that decision. He was done. He was frustrated. VA just kept blowing him off for being a male rape victim, which they did not believe his story. So without Mike, that Navy seaman would not be here. And that was our first interaction with how gaming and the camaraderie within this community can save lives. So now we've expanded. We've got the auxiliary on board. We've got this podcast, and every day we're growing, and it's really exciting to see this future, because 3.3 billion people play video games 16 to 20 hours a week. So we've got to be there where these veterans need help, and our MBS service officers that are on daily answering questions from the rumors that are out there about claim sharks, everything that we're doing legislatively. Our service officers are able to step in and give them accurate and very timely information. So our community is a step above a lot of other veteran organization gaming that does not have those resources and the subject matter experts to deal with benefits. So,
Lynn, I think that's a fantastic initiative that you took. Mike, what was your role again? I mean, he's given you a lot of props here. What's your thoughts on how this combat tested gaming has worked out, and your contributions, especially NVS's contributions to the gaming community?
Well, I won't say it was minor for us. First off, thank you, Lynn. You're the one that was the driver to put this all together and make it what it is today. I'm not a gamer, so when I hear things that you've expanded on and what the community is, and I hear it from, Keith Garrison, who's been working with you, providing information. So Lynn brought me this problem about this veteran that was basically being ignored by the VA. And I reached out directly to the hospital director and said, you don't not want me to bring the weight of the VFW down upon you. Please make sure you reach out to this veteran, because he's being mistreated by your staff, and let's get him some help. And the director did do that. He reached out directly to the veteran with his staff, got him into the therapies he needed. We were able to help with his VA needs because that was another issue he was having that was causing other problems. As we know, the mystery that benefits can be when you don't understand or don't have good counsel. And what I learned from that was Keith has been immersed in this now since it's been started. He gets on in games once a week or maybe twice a week. I don't know how often he does it. Yeah. But while he's enjoying himself gaming, he's also answering questions about the VA, questions about disability benefits, questions about claim sharks, directing people to resources to get their benefits, directing people to mental health care if they need it.
Yeah.
So,
in some ways, this is the way the VFW has always done it. It's just in a different medium now that people are connecting in the gaming community. I mean, this is what our organization does. When veterans need help, they're looking to whatever community it is that they participate in for that credible help. And it's really powerful that VFW has accredited reps who not only are part of the gaming community, but then are willing to be there online to provide credible answers.
Well, it's after hours, right? Keith has already worked a day, and this is part of his relaxation. And he's right back to work. But Ryan, you said it. I think Rob, you said it. It's not something that I do.
Yeah.
But yes, we have to meet the veterans where they are, and we're doing that. And through Lynn's efforts and what he's developed, I've learned about this full existing community that we otherwise may not have been able to help through traditional means.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, I have not been any kind of gamer since I was playing, Street Fighter 2 or whatever it was, back in the 90s.
1974.
And maybe the late 90s when I was in Korea. We were a little bored in the barracks, back then. But hey, so it's really interesting because we're talking about, connecting with veterans where they are. And to me, like not really knowing, and Brittany, like you talk about being a technology noob, that's me for sure. My son has to educate me on all this stuff now. But I'm so focused in the controls, I don't even understand how those things can take place at the same time. So I'm going to kick it over to you guys over there on the podcast and talk a little bit about Discord and talk a little bit about Twitch and how it is that you guys are able to connect with veterans while you're gaming.
Great question, Rob.
Stalker, if you want to touch Twitch, I'll hit that Discord. It's up to you.
Yeah. I've used gaming as a decompression tool since Iraq in 2007. I was an 11 Bravo, and when you're going 15 months and you're spending your days and nights basically kicking indoors, you got to have something that brings you down, something that kind of brings you back. And a lot of us, we connected that way. And then once we got back, I mean, we get on the 360 and, you play Call of Duty. And at that time it was Justin TV, and you'd see all these other gamers on there. And then you see veterans. And like at the time I was stationed at Fort Campbell, next thing you know, I'm playing with a guy from Fort Riley. I got another guy that was, all the way up in 10th Mountain, and and we've been playing ever since. So, gaming was just a way for us to like decompress, and it's nice to have those other members that you can decompress with. People that have been in the situations that you've been in, and you can kind of tell old war stories or some of the ridiculous things that we've done. And you just have that camaraderie, just like come together, and you can be on the opposite sides of the country. There's some that are even still deployed that, you can end up linking up with. So with Twitch, it's been very easy to link up. Like we literally linked up with a dude that was streaming at the time who was a commander in the United States Marine Corps. And we just started playing a game, and now he's joined up with us at Combat Tested Gaming. So it's the outreach is there. And a lot of times these guys, this is what they look forward to. They look forward to gaming, and it's even better when they can find other veterans or active duty that are still with us. So it has definitely been a blessing just to have the little bit of technology that we got can go so far to just kind of connect with other people. So
Heck yeah. And, when I was in Korea, y'all haven't heard this story yet, but when I was in Korea, I had my entire shop. I was the lowest ranked person there, and they made me the guild master in World of Warcraft. As soon as it came out, it was vanilla. My entire shop, chief warrant officers included, were participating. My NCOs, everybody was playing. We were going in, hitting up dungeons and all kind of stuff as groups. It was our way to kind of decompress, as that seems to be the word that we're using quite frequently when we're talking uh, about combat tested gaming and how it's a tool for many veterans. In Iraq, we had Cat 5 cable going in our sleeping areas, from sleeping area to sleeping area, just so we could play. Like, I think it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And I mean, it was an amazing opportunity, a tool. I mean, we were getting work, the mission first, and you have to prioritize that. Well, when you're able to decompress and not think about it, that's such a good relief. In the Discord, though, getting to that, we see people. I've used it and said, "Hey, this appears to be like how a canteen operates, minus the alcohol." You have people who come into this morning coffee and afternoon chat. That's what we called it, and literally that channel is hopping and popping, as they say, 24/7. There seems to always be somebody in there, and if there's not, jump in 5 minutes or so, somebody will be in there and you'll have somebody talking to you. And it's really cool. That in itself is a nice resource. But let's say that you have a veteran who doesn't show his face for a couple of days. You're starting to worry, where's this person at? And then you find out, oh, well, this person actually, they were doing their hospital work, or they had this going on, or whatever. The specific person that comes to my mind when we talk about the different people who are coming into, especially the people who might know this or listen to this podcast that are already comrades, are going to know this individual very well. But we have Alan Perkins from the Department of Texas who comes in, 79 years old, comes in every day, has a cup of coffee with us, and hangs out with us every single day. Doesn't play a video game necessarily, but comes in and enjoys the camaraderie every single day. So having that is just, you're seeing new veterans come in every day, and they keep coming back. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool, and we're killing it.
I'm blown away, guys, because it's so hard. It can be so hard after service to find common ground, people that you have common ground with, people who you identify with, and can build community with after service. And what I didn't realize is how deep this goes. And what I mean by that is, not only are you spanning generations of veterans. Did you say that guy is 97? Did I hear you correctly?
No, 79.
79. Sorry. Maybe I'm a little dyslexic, but
6'7".
Yeah, he was in Vietnam. He was not in World War I.
He was not in World War I or II. I guess that means more World War II time frame. But
yeah.
Nonetheless, though, that's incredible, because you have folks that are approaching 80. And others who are probably in their 20s who are still on active duty. So
we have a private who gets on every day.
Every day. So the experience spans decades among the people who are signing in and participating on a regular basis, or semi-regular basis. So not only are you finding camaraderie as their camaraderie building among veterans, but you also have this sort of mentorship element to it.
Yes.
Of the folks who are coming up through the ranks, who are still currently serving, which is really awesome. because I mean, that's so helpful in so many ways. That shows them, that there's, I imagine, that there's
people there for you when you get out.
Exactly. Yeah. There are people there who are going to you're going to be able to identify with, connect with, build, positive relationships after service as people are trying to rebuild those communities. And because we know that, your duty stations are everything, that your duty stations become your family, especially if you're overseas, if you're, whether you're on deployment or stationed at an overseas location. Like I was in Japan. It was so expensive to go home. Like it was, especially as an E3, E4, I couldn't just go home like on a whim, like I couldn't afford it. And so those folks became my family. And after service, it's, it's also, it's challenging because you're not, now it's, you don't have a built-in family anymore.
Right.
And so I really just love what I'm hearing about what you've built, what you're building. And am I correct in saying that you two volunteer your time doing this?
100%.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, if you could tell by the thing on my hat, but I'm a cootie.
I do a lot of cootie.
Yeah, I do a lot of volunteering. Yeah, boo. Wow. But yeah, I do a lot of volunteering for the VFW. It's I'm very passionate about our organization, and it's always about veterans. And the one thing that really gets me behind this is I feel like this is the VFW's one big push to end the 22. And that right there is my motivation.
Yep. We focus so much on mental health because like you said, when you're at your duty station, that's everything. Mm-hmm. When you come out of your duty station, I ended up getting 100% due to PTSD. I can't go anywhere. I can't go and find a job. I can't, just kind of spend my time. So where does that purpose go? Well, that purpose becomes a black cloud.
Right.
And then depends on, if you're by yourself, that cloud's going to get dark real quick. And so I've even found just volunteering my time and being, I've helped save, I think we're up to what is it? 8, Lynn? 8 confirmed people that we've helped out, that we've pulled from that brink. And it's like that was the purpose, because I literally would love to put 22 a day out of business.
Right.
And so, and it's getting, this younger generation, they have different struggles at the older eras. They kind of have an idea, but they don't really have a grasp on how we deal with it. And so when they finally see these soldiers of the younger generation come in and see, oh, these are people that are around my age group. They've been through it. Right. They've handled it. And so they'll come to us and kind of help give them that sense of purpose to where they can focus their time with something else, and just having a conversation with somebody. At least if you're in that spot, give me 13 minutes.
Right.
Because 13 minutes can change someone's day just like that, and you wouldn't even know it. So yeah, we're extremely passionate about helping those active, and especially making that transition. So
that is amazing. Thank you both. Oh, Ryan, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so Tim, you've said you've already said a lot, and I appreciate your honesty in talking about the gaming community and how it's helped you, because something strikes me with how veterans are engaging with the gaming community. First of all, it seems like a lot of this is task oriented. So if you're talking about gaming or a game that you like to play with one another or on teams, you're looking to accomplish a task. Now, to an onlooker, they may think, well, okay, it's a video game. Okay, but you're forming teams, you're forming bonds, you're working toward an objective, and that almost then invites the harder conversations. And whether that's happening in an online space or an in-person space, it's the same type of interaction. How do you see veterans engaging, or how long does it take to break down some of those barriers for veterans to then open up and start having real or deeper conversations about their struggles or their needs once the uniform comes off?
It really depends. I've noticed with me, it does not take long. I'm a pretty outgoing person, but I've also had to learn to push myself just to kind of bring myself out of my shell. And it'll help break down those barriers. Cause like, yeah, when you're playing games that have like objectives and stuff, especially with veterans, you know how our mouths get. We have our really, we have our jokes. We give each other
colorful
crap.
words,
very colorful words. And when you do that, like we'll get on like that daily basis. And then once you kind of get to know somebody, you start to hear like the tone in their voice. Like they'll be like, I'm tired. Or the one I catch is, I'm all right. No, you're not. Hey brother, let's have a talk and, get it out of your system. A lot of times I just give them that opportunity to vent, and we can vent in a video game. You can blow out my eardrums about how angry you are about a certain situation. That right there is showing that trust that not only are we going to play a game together, but you literally have my six.
I'd like to add something there. So Ryan, you had mentioned that, video games, right? Well, it doesn't just stop there. We actually, I actually just set up, we have a post in Morganton, North Carolina that has a weekly community night where they bring in the community, and it's like a safe place for tabletop miniatures. They do like Warhammer 40K, Magic the Gathering, and some of these other board games. And they invite the communities. There's several veterans that participate, but of course, when they open up the community, they're bringing in and showing patriotism and giving the opportunity for the VFW to show its good side. I really am impressed with how much support that you'll find. People get turned off when they hear video games because they go, oh, well, I don't play video games, or that doesn't apply to me. No, we just need you to be the medium to get that information out to that veteran that this place exists, right? But it doesn't just stop there, because it's not about video games either. It's about just coming together and having a community. That's what it's really about. And I can't explain it enough. It's almost like beating a dead horse when we go into these district meetings and we go into these department C of A's and we're explaining the program to people, and they just pause up and we go, look, I know this doesn't apply to you, but I guarantee there's somebody in your post. And the one thing that I tell people when they go in and they're explaining this, make sure you explain the program, because you never know. There might be a guy, the oldest guy in your post, sitting in the back, loves pulling them little Warhammer figurines out and painting them. You never know who it's going to be, who it's going to touch. And that's been the one thing in my experience in combat tested gaming. You see all the walks of life.
And really, there's something so intrinsic about the VFW to that. When we're talking about training our service officers and things like that, we try to talk about, hey, where can you find people who need help? And you start making all of these lists, and it's all the stereotypical things that you think of with the veterans community: military installations, National Guard units, gun shows. But then really the conclusion you have to draw is any place that people gather.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I had an epiphany just now, and that is...
Oh, that's dangerous.
Well, it is kind of dangerous.
Can you do that on camera?
But yeah, I think you can do it on camera. But anyway, my epiphany is this. When I was growing up, and many of you, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, and you had friends, and I wasn't the kid that could afford to have an Atari, but I had a friend that had an Atari, right? And he would often play some of these games that were just one player. And when I would sit there and watch him play for hours. For hours. I would not play alongside with him because it's a one-player game. Or I just, he was way better than me. And you know what? Just being there with him and being next to him, it was great. We loved it. And, I was encouraging him. He was just, he was able to show off. I'm like, we're high-fiving each other when it gets past another level. And when you have this older gentleman, 79 years old, just getting on and hanging out with other veterans, I can imagine myself being there in the same space doing that, because I did it when I was a kid. And actually, I did it, when I was at Fort Irwin, California, as like a PFC, and we would play I think we played like Super Mario Brothers or Mario World, Mario Gallucci. I don't know what game it was back then. But you're playing I know what it was. It was Mario 64. And so you're playing Mario 64, and that's a one.
Come on.
Were you?
Anyway, named all the video games.
Yeah, I just named them all, the entire Mario series, and go see Mario Galaxy for Galaxy coming to theaters near you, right? I'm sorry, they're not paying me for that. But anyway, and I'd watch it, and we're just high-fiving, we're laughing, we're joking. And so it just dawned on me, because I didn't think like, oh man, how can I be online on, whether it's Twitch or Discord, and that might be something to talk about here as we get ready to wrap up. And Brittany, I think, was going to do that, but I just think I just thought of that when you talked about that 79-year-old, and it was just wow. I think every veteran. Even if you're not a gamer, you can get out there, get online, and just be with other veterans. You don't have to play. You can just be there with them.
You don't have to go to a post.
Right. You don't have to go to no. That's even better. The veterans that are infirmed that can't get out, you can absolutely just go and be online and be with these other veterans.
Yeah, but people who are super rural veterans that don't have posts nearby.
Yep.
That's a big thing that I was thinking about. Rural veterans, period, who are looking for a community, support, new friends, what have you, people who get it.
Right, and
I love that.
One of them is, as we were talking, mental health. Depression will lock somebody down in their house harder than anything.
Yep.
And this is a tool that allows somebody who is locked down to actually reach out.
Yep.
So on that note, Lynn, did I hear you correctly before that this is a community of about 3,000 and growing? So
yes.
What are you doing, Lynn, and then also Tim and Rob, and your efforts? I mean, it seems like you're a fantastic team pushing this program forward and growing it. How are you getting the word out to attract more veterans and service members?
Yeah, so really the next evolution right now, these two brought the idea of the podcast, and I was like, hey, go forward, just don't get my butt in trouble. I'll and I'm sure the boss is watching now. I don't remember giving you approval, but I knew this was the right thing to do to get us out there and get us more exposure. Yeah. But what we've done, though, is I've reached out to all the state commanders to get state chairman, push it down to district, push it down to the post that this program exists, and start building the VFW infrastructure. And my opportunity to educate state commanders and post commanders on, because, unfortunately, the first question is, how much is it going to cost me? It's like, well, it's not going to cost you anything. Just get your vets, get your members in here. We'll connect. And then if these posts want to do something, like Denton, Texas, has built a phenomenal state-of-the-art facility. I've got 2 departments that are building gaming trailers now. We're actually going to host a high school combine down in Denton that these seniors are going to try out for gaming coaches at 5 universities across the Metroplex. The future is so bright for posts. Because we can help them with streaming. They can make money, donate to programs. They can set up VR lounge, which I've already told the VA, because I sit on the VA's gaming council, that the VFW will be the VR BSO experts. And thanks to great partners. So I'll let these two talk, but really my strategic goal is to get this down to the lowest level of the VFW so it can grow internally.
This past Tomb Trek, I was at Tomb Trek, and I represented Combat Tested Gaming. I got up in front of the entire Supreme Scratch, which has all of the state commanders from all over the world. We had people in from Korea that were were there, and I had a Meta headset, and I was able to demonstrate to all the Grand Commanders the significance of some of the programs that can go on this. And I was literally giving virtual honor flight after virtual honor flight after virtual honor flight with this MetaQuest headset. And like, just imagine what that can do in your nursing homes.
No way.
Yeah. And like, I did that at Supreme. So just imagine what I look at it as I'm tackling it, but from both sides, because you have the cooties and then you have the VFW, and they're kind of like hitting it from both sides here. So to make sure that the information's getting to those veterans. And that's the thing that I preached to the guys at Supreme. I was like, look, I'm not asking you to come and play video games with me. That's the last thing I'm asking you. I'm asking you to do what cooties do best. And that's spread information. We want you to spread it like wildfire. We want you to make sure that these departments, and I want you to know that these programs are available.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I can't tell you. I appreciate it. Once I recently learned like really about what it is that you do and the importance of gaming in the veteran community. Speaking with you has been an absolute pleasure. And I love that you were able to take the time to join us to talk about this today. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. And before we part, I'm wondering, Ryan, Mike, Rob, Tim, Lynn. We have two Robs. So, does anyone have any last thoughts they want to share?
Yeah, just again, thanks, Lynn, and thank you guys for what you do, especially expanding it. I mean, it's opened my eyes as a non-gamer to realize that this community is really impacting people that may not have been otherwise reached. And when you save 8 lives, 10, 12, whatever it might be. So thank you to all of you for your efforts, and we will continue to talk about it. Our service officers will continue to talk about it, and organizationally, I know we'll continue to talk about it. So thank you.
So that's really great. Tim, I was hoping maybe you can just tell us real quick where they can find you on Discord, where they can find you on Twitch, and where they can find your podcast.
Our podcast is called Waking Up with VFW's Combat Tested Gaming, which you can find that live on Twitch at twitch.tv/combat tested gaming. We're also on RSS, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. That's where you can find our podcast. Our Discord is at discord.gg/combat tested gaming.
Excellent. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Tim, Rob, Lynn. Thank you guys for joining us here on the VFW podcast, and we're looking for great things. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll be back right after this.
Let's be clear. Veterans' benefits are not charity, not a handout. They're part of a contract. They are the promise America makes to veterans in turn for their immense sacrifices, for their invisible wounds, their exposure to toxins, for their willingness to risk their lives in service to country. We kept our end of the deal. Now it's America's turn. Honor the contract. It's not a request, it's a demand.
We thank Rob, and we thank Tim, and we thank Lynn for everything they're doing. Combat Tested Gaming, fantastic program through the VFW. You all should check that out. Now, one thing...
that was a much better flow than I outlined.
Yeah,
here.
right. Well, I mean, I tell you what, it was completely out of order, I know.
But it makes more sense.
It does. I mean, the way that it flowed through this day is way, sometimes you have to do it.
And if we didn't write it down, they'd never know.
Yeah, that's right.
But we put it on camera. So.
Yeah, I know.
And I read it.
So one of the big things that's come out this past week is that the government reopened. Yep. So... okay, that's great. I'm super happy for those veterans that were out of work, furloughed, trouble paying bills, active duty, guard and reserve. They were able to figure out how to pay them, but that wasn't everyone. Not everyone got paid. So now everybody's getting paid, back in line with that. Veterans benefits. Now let's get to that. There were some things that were affected by the shutdown. We talked about that last podcast. What's back? What's rolling, Mike?
Everything's back.
Okay.
Straight up. VA is open for business. Regional offices are open. Medical centers are open.
Yep.
CBOCs are open. VA is processing claims again. Everybody's back to work since they're all getting paid. And our VFW service officers and our accredited partners are all back to work, still working on behalf of veterans. And so thank you to everybody in the VA who had to struggle through this.
Yeah.
For not getting paid, still having to come to work. And as we understand it, there's some back pay coming your way, which is good. And I hope that you catch up on things soon and have an enjoyable holiday season.
Mike, you brought up one really important point, and we actually talked about this a little bit with Secretary Collins as well, is the employees from VA who still came into work every day. There's a lot of talk in the news about the military being paid during the shutdown and things like that, but VA employees, those at VA medical centers, those who were processing claims, they weren't being paid, but they still showed up every day. And look, I think if you're a listener, if you're watching this podcast and you use VA programs and services, take time to log on to that direct messenger and tell your doctors thank you. Say thank you, because look, I went through it. I had a couple of appointments during the shutdown and had to send some messages. My provider was always there, and she wasn't getting paid, but always quick with the responses, making sure that I had what I needed. And I think that was across the workforce, and we owe it to the VA employees who kept processing those claims, who kept delivering care, responding to those direct messages. Just thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All agencies. Let's not forget about the NCA as well, because they also had the same issues. So for people that have loved ones in these national shrines, now they'll be able to get back to normal operations. So thank you, all three agencies, for coming to work without pay.
Well, you know what?
Our civilian DOD employees.
That's right. Yes. Oh, man, all of them that just so grateful. Which actually brings us to the good of the order, because...
Oh, does it now?
Yeah, it sure does, Rabbit. So, the great thing is that we're coming up in Thanksgiving time, and so we're looking around at things to be thankful for. I think the government reopening is something that we all can appreciate. We can all be thankful for. And I'm going to go over to Brittany first for her good of the order and what she is grateful for. Brittany.
Oh, this is a toughie. I struggle.
Yeah, put you on the spot.
Thanks, Rob. Yikes. So I'm thankful first and foremost for my family, my husband and my son. They're pretty wonderful. And then just my larger extended family, on my husband's side and of course my side. And I'm also super thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for being able to do the work that I do, even with the life changes that have happened over the past 8 months. It's been a wild ride, but one of the constants has been this fantastic job that I have the pleasure of and luck of being able to do every day. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Brittany. That was super nice of you to say. Let's go over to Mike Figlioli to see what he is thankful for.
Same thing, really. I'm gonna expound on it. I'm gonna have some other things to say, but yes, I am obviously thankful for family, thankful for great wife, who understands what we do because she came from our ranks. And now as I've continued to work and she's fully retired, she still understands, the things that are required to do the job. Yeah. Definitely thankful for all of you and my staff and our 2,300 plus representatives who take care of veterans every day.
Love that.
It's I said earlier, a labor of love. It is that. And I know that I can go into Ryan's office and vent and bitch and, come out and be okay, or I can go into your office or whatever, or sit down with Brittany or whomever it is. Yeah. So thankful for those partnerships. Hey, look, thankful for our corporate sponsors who keep our programs going.
Shoot, man, you're right.
Those donations are critical. Yeah. And I'm thankful to be a member of this great organization and have the experiences I've had because of my parents who were members of this great organization. And that's how I met all of you. So over to you, Smedley.
Yeah, Smedley, what is it that you have to be grateful for? It's hilarious to have him on screen.
Marine Corps.
He's thankful the war's a racket.
Some veterans still believe in Santa Claus.
Okay, thanks, Smedley. Appreciate you. Now over to our executive director, Ryan Gallucci. You know what? I think we might have to have him here. That's for sure. Like, I didn't plan that, but like now, if we're one short here, whether it's Mike or Christina or you, right, we'll have Smedley here in the room with us anyway to keep us in line.
Okay. Wow. Look, I am going to also say that I'm thankful for the VFW for a variety of reasons. I like the, kind of adding on to our own reasons why. Look, over the last year, I've had the health challenges where I lost the function of the right side of my face. I was visibly disabled.
Damn, poor Ryan.
But look, the support from just everyone on this podcast, but our entire staff, who helped pull together a very successful Commander-in-Chief's testimony, a very successful national convention, all of the work that we've been able to do, our preparation for what we saw coming, which again, thank the good general here for his foresight in the 1930s that we could learn that type of stuff. But it's been a very a challenging year for me health-wise and personally, and so I just wanted to say thank you for all of the hard work and support to not just push through it, but to then push me through it, to be able to talk about the things that we're talking about now. We talked about a little bit of this on the YOMP, and grateful for that time to really talk about the world and everything else that our listeners do not get to know about. And so that's what I'm thankful for heading into this Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Great. Of course, I echo everything that you all say about family. I'm going to take this very gratuitous moment to say thank you to my wife, Shannon, who happens to have her birthday on this day that we're recording the podcast. I did 24 years in the Army, and I came into the Army married with 2 kids. And if it wasn't for my wife encouraging me, being able to take care of all those things at home, I wouldn't have had such a fantastic career that I did. And it was hard. It was hard. Those of us that served in the military, even for a moment's time, that are married with kids or just married, know how difficult that is. So, we weathered through all that time. We have been married since 1994. So we're talking 31 years of marriage. And so as I was getting out and transitioning, as I was transitioning out of the military, my wife encouraged me to look at the VFW as a place of employment. I didn't really think this is the place to go, but she said, Rob, you should check it out. Maybe you should apply for that job. And I'm so grateful that she did, because I end up landing on my feet as I retired. I can't say that for every single veteran getting out. It's very difficult for a lot of them that are transitioning out. Those have had long careers and then they lose their whole sense of identity sometimes. And so she was able to, and this was a perfect fit for me. I mean, these are my people, so to speak. All of you that I work with, Brittany and Christina and Ryan and Mike and all the people that we have associated here and people in Kansas City. I'm just so grateful for that in my life. I'm just so happy, that I'm able to do this, and the chains are off, and we can advocate and get angry and talk about these things that are, frustrate us when it comes to whether it's the government or media or what, all these stupid narratives that are out there, and be able to do good work. Do good work for our fellow veterans. It's so great. And so anyway, that's it. Getting off my little soapbox there. That was long-winded. I'm sorry, everyone. But look, I want to thank you all for being on the podcast. Look, we are going to be, Brittany, I'm going to bring you back up on screen here because we're going to have a little bit of time. We're going to take a break. Probably we're looking at what? We're looking at December timeframe, right?
So,
it will be December. We have Thanksgiving and
Thanksgiving, and then That's next week.
And the holiday
and then it'll be the holiday season. And whoop-dee-doo. So we'll have a couple we'll have a couple more podcasts for the year. So yeah. Any expectations for that going forward, Brittany?
Yes, festive attire. No, sorry.
Huh?
Festive attire.
Yeah. As you can tell, I'm just going to put this out there, Brittany. Like, for those that are watching the podcast, you've probably seen these 3 dots. These dots are going up her face. It's because, it's because of the light. It's getting darker here. So we're going to have to start recording a little earlier so we don't have these problems.
Thanks, time change.
Yeah, thanks, time change. But anyway, any last thoughts, Brittany?
Just be on the lookout for some ugly sweaters.
The ugly sweaters it is. And so we want to thank all of you that have been watching and listening to the podcast. And remember, when it comes to the VFW, we are still serving. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Still Serving, the VFW podcast. To get the latest news and information from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to us on social media at VFW HQ, on Facebook at VFW Fans, or visit our website at vfw.org.